The beginnings of the Marlow Voyager 76 that we're introducing at Miami, the genesis, I suppose, came from many years ago when I decided I wanted to compete in round the world or offshore sailboat racing. And there were ideas that were deeply rooted that boats were limited in their speed capabilities by their shape, and that shape was inviolate. And over the period of time that I engaged in offshore racing, those theories were completely destroyed. Though we were not alone by any means in doing that, we were among those who carried the offshore sailboats from speeds that were very, very slow, 6 or 7 knots, for a fairly large boat, into virtually unlimited speeds that now they race around the world at whatever speed they would like to go, however hard the wind will blow. And that was accomplished by forgetting all the old ideas that were so ingrained in our thinking that boats had to be constrained by their shape, and that's what we had to do. And the Voyager is just an extension of that. That was well proven through the 80s, where sailboats, for example, moved from the 6 to 7 knot range into the 20 to 30 knot range, and today even higher. And the same thing was possible in power yachts if we would just start with a clean mind and a clean sheet of paper. And so here we are today with the Voyager. It accomplishes all those goals. The primary element, I suppose, starting out is that to rid yourself of the myth or the idea that heavy is strong. If that were so, the Edmund Fitzgerald wouldn't lie on an inland lake with 29 dead men in it, crippled by a storm on a Great Lake, a 600-foot long oar boat, brand new. Weight has nothing to do with strength, as military aircraft prove to us all the time. And so you rid yourself of that idea to begin with, and you begin to start down that journey to produce a yacht that has extraordinary performance. And so we're very weight conscious, and we build our boats very much like a military aircraft rather than building it like a home. A home is built by having a skin of blocks or something, and then you build 2x4s to support the walls, and then you put paneling on that, and you put rafters above your head to hold the floors up and under your feet, all of which adds unnecessary weight and really adds no strength. In fact, it could be strongly argued that every one of those joints that you put in there is a potential failure point. And so if you could, in a perfect world, build something that were a monocoque construction and light and strong like an airplane, and rid yourself of the frame. Think of it like an airplane. When you go into a commercial or a military aircraft, you don't see bulkheads and frames all over the place. You see an open tube, and the only bulkhead there is to separate the classes or to provide bathroom facilities. And the frame, the skin is the frame, and that's precisely how we build a Marlow. Is that we employ construction techniques which were up until now considered the province of only military aircraft or similar. So we begin with that, and so we throw away all of that space robbing and useless, in this case, framing. It simply doesn't exist. It gives us the capability then to design the boat as we want to design the boat, rather than being constrained by these ingrained structural elements that are really not true. And so we rid ourselves of that, and we gain enormous volume in a given envelope of space, and we reduce the weight significantly. And that leads us, or allows us, to continue further down the development path of reducing wetted surface in the bottom of the boat and shaping the boat so that it's more friendly with the ocean, and it waltzes with the ocean rather than clashes with the ocean. And instead of being an overweight club fighter like you see that's punch drunk after so many years, been bashing his way around the ring, boats do that a lot too. They bash their way through the ocean. It's much more sensible to us to waltz with the ocean rather than bash it. It's much larger than we are. No matter how big we build the boat, each wave is larger, heavier, stronger. And so I think I'd rather dance with it. The day will come as the composites industry grows and develops more and more unique ways to build the products that we will move into composites in very large boats. That's being shown to us now by a number of military groups around the world. The United States Coast Guard, for example, are building our newest submarines. The conning tower, the wing, the sail, are all of composite rather than steel. So we're moving that direction. The crash bulkheads, for example, in some of the ships And the major bulkhead in the newest submarines for the United States Navy are also composite, and it's the most important structural member in the submarine. The Coast Guard vessels, we're moving now to fiberglass or composite exotic superstructures because they've solved one major issue that has kept them heading down the steel path or metal path is fire. And metal doesn't burn very well. Paint on it does, but the metal doesn't burn very well. So that's been an issue for them to overcome, but now they have. And so now they've learned to develop fireproofing composites, and they're moving in that direction. So someday even that will go. For us, composite, so is the ideal answer because it gives us such great flexibility, lowers the maintenance cost tremendously of owning the boat, and produces a far stronger, lighter material for a given envelope. The engine and the propulsion system are somewhat conventional, but there again we deviate. If you were to turn our boats upside down and look at the underbody, the shape would be somewhat different, particularly in this vessel. The rear of the boat, the stern area, is called the buttocks. It literally look like if you were to flip our boat upside down, it would resemble an F-15 military aircraft with twin tails. Those twin tails act as the feathers on an arrow. If you were to remove the feathers from an arrow, we'd be lucky to hit a boat from here with the arrow. But the arrows on it guide it and keep it very stable and on track and as it flies through the air. We have a pair of foils called strut keels that are proprietary to us. And this technology was discovered accidentally by me in reading a report done by Toshiba and MIT that they developed a way to silence nuclear submarines so that they could be very quiet. And in so doing, discovered an offshoot of that, a benefit that's now been quantified and named called the Magnus effect, that when you have an open shaft rotating in an element, a fluid, water, that at 1,000 RPMs it assumes a diameter actually 4 times its actual diameter in drag. And it's called the Magnus effect. And so if you enclose that shaft and remove it from contact or drag with the water, the drag of the boat, the parasitic drag, is seriously reduced, and at the same time these foils allow the boat to assume a much straighter course through the water, which also increases its performance, speed, and increases the economy as well. We are developing at the moment, in fact it's well underway. We've been fortunate since we began our company that we have not built a stock boat. We've had people who have accepted our method of building a boat, have recognized the quality and value, and have allowed us to continue to grow our product line. We have the same scenario at this moment in that we have 2 boats that are just under 100 feet in length that are under construction for retail customers that we have just announced in the last few days, and we'll introduce those in Fort Lauderdale 2010. So we will continue our growth.